would like a ring. I would like a ring. I would like a diamond ring on my wedding finger. I would like a big shiny diamond that I can wave around and talk about it.
Oh, hi. Welcome to Boyfriend Land. I'm your host, Elle, and let's talk everything boyfriends. Hey, bestie. Welcome to the Spoiled Girly Support Group podcast where we talk about how to get that bag while also securing your own bag. I'm your host, Elle, and let's get into it. The Vogue article, "Is having a boyfriend embarrassing now?" has exploded across the internet. We are talking millions of views on TikTok, countless stitches dissecting every line, and a flood of think pieces and Substack essays trying to explain what it all means. The question struck a nerve because it named something that so many women were feeling but hadn't said out loud. Why is everyone hiding their boyfriends? The article goes on to list some of the reasons why women may not be as eager to share their partners online, and we'll get into those reasons in a little bit. But one of the more common observations is that women have been feeling that boyfriends may no longer have the huge appeal they used to draw. Nowadays, having a boyfriend may no longer be cool. So how did we get here? How did we get from boyfriend culture, where relationships were milestones of desirability and success, we were seeing everyone's boyfriends all day, every day, to today's boyfriend denial culture, where a partner can feel like a liability to your image, and so women are no longer posting their mans? I would say that the decentering men discourse may have had something to do with this. The idea that a woman's life should not revolve around their partner is this revolutionary idea that had women rethinking how they approach romantic relationships. But I wanted to say one thing though, that decentering men is not the same as denying yourself love. If you happen to love loving men, that love is a beautiful, expansive thing. To be ashamed of it, to treat affection as unserious or uncool, is to deny ourselves a full and deeply human experience. The goal isn't to delete love from our real life narratives. The goal is to reclaim love on our own terms. And ultimately, whether you have a boyfriend or not, and whether you choose to share your boyfriend or not, should never be treated as a measure of your value as a woman. The current discourse on having a boyfriend and or posting him online, I fear, risks making us a little bit too comfortable judging women based on their relationships to men. I also fear that it's judging women for being alone and single, but in a different font. At the end of the day, you're still judging women based on their relationships to and with men. When we mock women for being in relationships and then turn around and mock the same women for being single and alone, we are still centering men as the axis around which female worth revolves. At the end of the day, a woman's worth should not be reduced as a sum of her romantic attachments. Each woman is an individual with her own story, her own gravity, her own orbit. In short, she is also the sun. Now, we have a lot to cover, but before we get into it, I need you to hit the like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you never miss a Spoiled Girly episode. With that being said, let's get into it. But before we get into it, a word from today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is the sponsor of today's video and makes therapy accessible, flexible, and designed around your life so you don't have to wait to take that step. BetterHelp is a platform where therapists and their clients can communicate effectively and get the most out of therapy. There's a journal inside for personal reflection, and there are group sessions on a number of different topics available every day. It's that time of the year, and the girlies are wrapping up their best purchases of the year. And for me, my best ever purchase is therapy. How at peace I am with myself touches literally every single aspect of my life. And I am so proud of myself for taking that first step to connect with licensed professionals who gave me the tools to navigate life's many, many trials and tribulations. And on top of the regular and extraordinary trials and tribulations of life, I was also suffering with negative self-talk. I was my own biggest hater. Like, I didn't have to look far to look for a hater. The hater call was coming from inside the house. And one time my therapist asked me, "What do you usually tell yourself?" And then I told her the most diabolical things I would say to myself about myself. And looking back, it was so concerning. And then she asked me, if you had a friend who talked to you like that, would you still be friends with them? And I was like, absolutely not. And then I realized that I was putting so much effort to be nice to other people when I wasn't doing the same for myself, when I should be my own biggest supporter. I should be my own number one fan. And through therapy, I've made progress on that front. And now I'm able to share the positive self-talk that I give myself to other women so that they can also hype themselves up. One thing I really appreciate about BetterHelp is how it has been the most accessible option for me. When I needed a therapist, I logged onto BetterHelp and they matched me with an incredible therapist who helped me break through my blocks and recognize the patterns that I kept falling into, like keeping myself small or avoiding visibility because I didn't think that I was worthy of being heard or listened to. And because I'm actively working on my blocks, I'm able to become a better friend, family member, writer, content creator, a woman. BetterHelp accepts both HSA and FSA cards, making it even easier to prioritize your mental health. In 2024 alone, over 137,000 people used their HSA or FSA benefits for therapy through BetterHelp. So be sure to use yours before they expire. So if you're struggling and think you'd benefit from a therapy session, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/manifestal to get 10% off your first month of therapy. That's betterhelp.com/manifestal to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Now back to the topic. So, are we like boyfriend and girlfriend now?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay, BRB, updating my Facebook. Changing relationship status to in a relationship. And let me tag his profile so everyone knows he's mine. This was how women were hard launching their relationships for everyone to see online in the early to the mid 2010s. So, how did we get from this excitement to post your man, your man, your man for all your friends and frenemies to see to now soft launching or never launching boyfriends? Well, it was a gradual decline, and this decline was documented by fashion. The boyfriend label first took off in fashion, boyfriend jeans, boyfriend tee, boyfriend fit all promised a looser menswear borrowed silhouette. Fashion writers noted that the term itself sells the idea of wearing a man's clothes. It plays into this desire for partnership. If you don't have a boyfriend whose clothes you can borrow, at least you can borrow the boyfriend clothes. It was marketing that sold a feeling of being partnered at a time when being partnered was so aspirational. So, boyfriend clothing then became a signal of desirability and social capital. When you have something or someone, in this case, that not everyone has and yet desires, then you have some form of capital. Hadley Freeman writes for The Guardian, to insinuate one has a boyfriend makes one look really cool and desired and validated, and therefore it is super sexy to look like you just rolled out of bed. But something happened in the early 2020s. Soft launching became a thing. And I would warrant that this was the beginning of the decline of boyfriend culture. Posting an elbow at dinner, the second coffee cup, the back of someone's head, soft launching entered the mainstream lexicon around 2021 and quickly became the default PR strategy for romance online. The cut even dubbed September Soft Launch September, formalizing the strategy. Hint, tease, and never confirm. The term was coined by comedian Rachel Sennott, who tweeted, "Congrats on the Instagram soft launch of your boyfriend. Pic on story, elbow and side profile only." Sennott also told The Cut, "We were joking about how people were posting their boyfriends the same way companies tease a product, like a sneak peek, but not the whole thing." Now, while many women were soft launching their boyfriends, a move that seems to signal the decline of overt boyfriend culture since women are no longer shouting from the rooftops that they have a man's. It's interesting that Sennott also observed the almost productized aspect of this trend. Even as women were becoming more discreet, more secretive about their boyfriends, the boyfriend remains a form of personal marketing, a subtle way to signal that they're desired and that they have social capital that others don't without explicitly centering a man. And in 2019, 2020, 2021, we may have been seeing the seeds of the impending doom of boyfriend culture. And fast forward to now, the year of our Lord 2025, many women have been feeling bearish on boyfriends. Deborah, a fashion writer on TikTok, wrote, "The value of having a boyfriend has depreciated." And this feeling was captured by Shantae Joseph's British Vogue article, "Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now?" Joseph lists the reasons why women were not posting their boyfriends online, which was directly in contrast with the past social media strategy of posting boyfriends as early and as often as possible. And okay, maybe too often. Joseph writes that many women feel like they're trying to straddle two worlds. They still want the social benefits of being in a partnership, but they don't want to appear boyfriend obsessed and thereby culturally loser-ish. Some also fear that revealing their partner publicly will invite jealousy or bad luck, aka evil eye, or leave them vulnerable and embarrassed if the relationship ends and the posts remain visible. Women also reported that posting their partner felt cringy or embarrassing, not necessarily because their partner was bad, but because of how being in a relationship can harm their perceived aura or harm their personal brand online. Sophie Milner, a content creator, remarked, "We can become more beige and watered down online when in a relationship. myself included. And this feeling of being perceived as less cool when you have a boyfriend is realized for female content creators. Joseph writes, for artist and influencer Julia Marsico, soft launching her then boyfriend this summer was a way to ward off creeps in her inbox. It resulted in followers that either became super invested in and curious about her new relationship or simply unfollowed her en masse. And this hesitance to post boyfriends may also be due to this fear of being perceived as male-centered. While we can all agree that male-centeredness is never a good thing, we should be wary of dulling our own joy in the pursuit of appearing above it all. When the effort to seem self-contained and chill and detached and independent or cool begins to suppress the unbridled joy and whimsy and warmth that helps us enjoy our experience of life, we have traded one performance for another. Decentering men should be liberating, not suffocating. It should expand our capacity for selfhood and love, not constrict them. But when empowerment becomes performative, when we begin curating detachment out of fear of being perceived as male-centered, I fear that we are losing the plot. And I'm not saying that you should post your boyfriend on social media, no nuance Nelly. Social media is not real life. I'm speaking more so to what happens in real life when this fear of being seen as male-centered is bleeding into how you yourself experience and give love to the people you want to give love to. It's time to rethink whether you're doing it out of self-preservation or simply performance. If you're putting up this front that you're cool, you're tough, you're above it all, when really you're a lover girl, you love love, when you're not being authentic to yourself, I fear that you are cheating yourself out of the joys of life. Obviously, you can give and receive love to and from others who are not your boyfriend, but if you are longing for a passionate, safe, stable, romantic love, then you shouldn't punish yourself for it. It's normal, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. Do many women wish they didn't feel this way? Absolutely. But the fact remains that it is normal and you shouldn't feel bad for it. There is so much advice out there on how to navigate relationships safely, and you may get some of that advice here in the Spoiled Girly Support Group. But the fact remains as well that to love is to risk. And only you know if the love that you could possibly find is worth that risk. Speaking of risk, while reading Joseph's British Vogue article, I was thinking to myself, and I was actually marking up the article, that maybe it's because of evil eye. That's why everyone's hiding their boyfriends. They're like,
Hide your kids, hide your wife, hide your husbands, hide your boyfriends.
everyone's hiding their boyfriends. And she actually addresses that later in the article. Some women don't post their boyfriends or even post like they have a boyfriend at all because of evil eye. And for the unacquainted, the evil eye is this concept rooted in many cultures, and it warns that what people can see, they can destroy. And to protect what is important to you, you must not let others see it. And actually, to combat such evil eye, many women wear evil eye jewelry to ward off the evil eye, or even use the evil eye emoji in their bio or like in their caption whenever they post. In essence, women are hiding their boyfriends because they don't want to risk evil eye destroying their relationships. And honestly, valid. There's also the sentiment shared by many women that they don't want to post their boyfriends or even their husbands online, let alone tag them, because they've had experiences of other women reaching out to their husbands to talk to them in the DMs so as to tempt them out of their relationship or marriage. I wish this was an isolated case, but it's prevalent enough that I have heard it from many women that that's the reason why they would never post their boyfriends or their husbands online. And obviously, if he steps out on the relationship or the marriage online, that is 100% up to him. Cheaters will always cheat no matter what format. They really are prolific, but many women don't feel that the risk is worth whatever nominal benefit they derive from posting their partners online. Another reason women have become bearish on boyfriends online is this pattern that women have been observing, that partnership with men can be a humiliation ritual. I wrote about the humiliation rituals of relationships and social media for women on our Substack, so read it if you missed it. A humiliation ritual is a social or cultural practice where an individual is expected or compelled to undergo public embarrassment, degradation, or symbolic submission in order to gain acceptance, prove loyalty, or maintain status within a group or system. Public breakups and cheating scandals regularly trigger pile-ons where women become the primary targets of harassment and blame. Even if it was not the woman who cheated and was actually the one cheated on, she is still held to this impossible standard of she should have known better, because if she did, she wouldn't have been cheated on. Her being cheated on in itself is characterized as a character flaw, a reflection of how foolish she is, not only in her choice of partner, but also in her delusion that loyalty and love is even possible in relationships with men. In short, there is an element of heteropessimism in the air. This moralizing tendency to blame women for being cheated on reflects a broader cultural mood of heteropessimism, a term coined by writer Asa Saracen in his 2019 essay for The New Inquiry to describe the performative disaffection with heterosexuality that many people, particularly women, express as both critique and coping mechanism. Saracen argues that heteropessimism is a way to voice dissatisfaction with the gender dynamics of straight relationships while continuing to participate in them. It's the eye roll that says, men are trash, but what can you do? In essence, women are put in this damned if you do, damned if you don't situation where if you love a man, you risk being mocked for being in love and for being male-centered. But also, if you lose him, you're mocked for not picking right, for choosing wrong, and maybe for not being good enough to keep his attention on you. And also being mocked for being delusional enough to believe that a man could ever have been loyal to you. And the result is a form of emotional cynicism disguised as empowerment. It's a sense that to be an empowered woman is to expect disappointment and preempt humiliation by refusing to care, by being detached. And if you ever dare to foolishly believe that men could ever be loyal and caring and loving, then that disappointment is all on you. And actually, when he does turn out to not be loyal and caring and not loving, then we will all pile on you and tell you we told you so.
How dumb. Ugh, I can't believe you did that. Shame on you for being delusional. See, they're all like that. How could you ever think otherwise?
Okay, so it's kind of like a double crime on these women. Like they've already been wronged, and then everyone also attacks them for being wronged. Okay, so it's really sad. And so everyone else is watching this situation play out, right? Women have now begun to see that public relationships are not as aspirational as they once were. They are now potential stages for public shame as humiliation rituals. Because in times marked by increasing heteropessimism, the humiliation rituals seem almost inevitable. Knowing all of that, it is so understandable that many women post less or soft launch or never launch as a protective strategy. It's not that love in itself is shameful, it's just that visibility has now become a liability in an attention market primed to humiliate women for men's actions. In feminist terms, this is one more patriarchal bargain. Women adjust their self-presentation to minimize risk in a system that still rewards the policing of women's sexuality and relationships. Bottom line, calling relationships humiliation rituals captures a real risk of going public with love in the algorithmic era. But on a more optimistic note, Shantae Joseph also brings up how this phenomenon of women hiding their boyfriends, soft launching or never launching, may also point to a shift in culture that signals how a partnered woman may no longer carry the automatic status that it once did. Joseph writes, "Where being single was once a cautionary tale, you'll end up a spinster with loads of cats, it is now becoming a desirable and coveted status. Another nail in the coffin of a centuries-old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women to begin with." And what a wonderful thing that would be if it were true. But unfortunately, we are not there yet, or a lot of us are not there yet. As it stands, the current bearishness on boyfriends and boyfriend culture doesn't fully signal that we've finally detached women's worth from their affiliation with men. It simply reveals a change in strategy. Women are adapting to an environment where their perceived value still hinges on which man they are with or not with. We are still judging women by their proximity to men, and that's why the women are hiding their men. Whether a woman is praised for being single or mocked for being too in love or being male-centered, not in the true male-centered sense, her choices are still filtered through this lens of male association. Until women's desirability, intelligence, and overall perception are measured independently of their romantic status, boyfriend culture will never truly die. It will just evolve and keep taking on new disguises. And I fear the new disguise is here. The new boyfriends are husbands. What's interesting to me is that while our social media feeds have grown increasingly bearish on boyfriends, they've become noticeably bullish on husbands. And yes, we are using social media as proxy for women's shared sentiments. No one platform speaks for every woman all the time, but when something becomes a widespread trend online, it often reflects a collective emotional temperature. And if my feed is any indication, wife era is in full bloom. And consequently, the husband era is also here. I don't think I've ever seen more women get engaged or married than in this year of our Lord 2025. Our algorithms are saturated with proposal videos, engagement ring reveals, wedding planning content, and cinematic wedding recaps. Even cultural critics have noticed. Writer Catherine Shannon observes that pop enters its wife era, pointing out that 4 of the biggest names in pop music have either gotten married or engaged within the last 12 months. When Lana Del Rey performed her new song, Husband of Mine, at Stagecoach this year, I knew that this would be the year of husbands. Ray's viral song, Where's My Husband,
I would like a ring, I would like a ring, I would like a diamond ring, I'm a wedding finger, I would like a big shiny diamond.
has also become something of a mantra. It's kind of a joke, but like many jokes, it's rooted in truth. The girlies don't want boyfriends, they want husbands. I just really feel like it's synchronicity. Everything is about husbands this year. It all captures this mood where women are tired of the situationships and the emotional ambiguity of what are we? Now women want certainty, emotional safety, and stability. So it may seem like having a boyfriend is embarrassing nowadays, but having a husband has never been cooler. So if women are no longer posting their boyfriends, it's probably because they're waiting to post them when they become husbands. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a boyfriend or a husband, but it's worth reflecting on how easily we, and I mean we as women, still judge ourselves and each other through the lens of who we're partnered with, if we're partnered at all. Whether it's pride or embarrassment, desire or detachment, we're all still circling the same center: men. But as Christina Yang once said, he's very dreamy, but he is not the sun. You are. The truth is, decentering men doesn't mean denying ourselves romantic love. It means refusing to let romantic love be the only story worth telling about yourself. It's about loving without losing the self. It's about finding your soul before you find your soulmate. Because at the end of the day, we are also the sun. We have our own orbits, our own gravity, our own lives through which we create and share meaning. We should never dull our unbridled joy and whimsy and stop ourselves from dancing just because other people cannot hear the music. Having a boyfriend may be embarrassing, but love is never embarrassing. Being optimistic and daring to love against all odds is not a sign that you are a faulty human being. It is not at all embarrassing. It is a sign that we have for so long been forced to tolerate terrible, terrible behavior from others. And so much so that we have expected it to become normal. But as optimistic girlies living in our love and in our light, we know that we, the human race, men and women, can all do better. And we will. That's all I have for you today. I just want to let you know that you have so much inherent worth and value in a world that is hell-bent on devaluing you. And a big thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring today's video. If you're struggling and think you'd benefit from a therapy session, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/manifestl to get 10% off your first month of therapy. That's betterhelp.com/manifestl to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Now get that bag, bestie. Also, bestie, wake up.